This is a 1968 Plymouth Satellite four-door sedan, one of a whole new line of mid-size Plymouth cars for '68. And standing alongside is a Plymouth salesman. And this is Ford's comparable car, the '68 four-door Fairlane 500 sedan, and Ford's comparable salesman. Each one is going to be allowed to speak on a few points of mutual interest. But first, I'd like to mention the similarities between these two automobiles. They're both on a 116-inch wheelbase, and they're both in the intermediate field. They carry comparable manufacturers' suggested retail price tags.
Not so fast, Mr. Narrator. This Plymouth Satellite of mine is longer, wider, and lower, and it has a wider front tread and a shorter turning diameter. And these are factors that show up in such benefits as better handling and riding, greater comfort, greater convenience. His Ford doesn't really compare in these important items. We've got more room, too.
Oh, come on. Who has more leg room up front and who has more headroom in back? We do. Fairlane, that's who.
I'm glad you brought that up, because in 6 additional factors of roominess and riding and driving comfort, Plymouth Satellite outstretches Fairlane in headroom, legroom, hip room, and shoulder room, front and rear. Plymouth has the comfort edge 6-2.
Well, maybe in some dimensions Satellite is bigger, but like this ad in Motor Trend magazine says, the '68 Torino is Ford's newest bright idea. And it's pretty. Not that it goes better because it's pretty, but it can't hurt, just like the ad says.
Seems to me you're conceding the roominess and comfort point to Plymouth almost too easily. But why not? Particularly when the facts show Plymouth's better. Let's look at beauty. Both these cars are good looking, but I like the soft, attractive lines of the Satellite better.
I don't. I like Fairlane better.
And you suggest that your car goes better. Let's see what makes you think so.
Okay with me, because now I've got you. Here's what really gives us the edge. We've got 390 horsepower in our big 427 cubic inch optional engine. Beat that.
Why not? You can get our 426 Hemi engine in either the Roadrunner or GTX, both top-performing mid-size Plymouths. And this engine gives you 425 horsepower, 35 more than Ford.
Our 390 cubic incher, the 4-barrel job, gives us 335 horsepower.
Right, but how about that Plymouth Roadrunner engine, a 383 cubic incher, also 335 horses, and standard equipment in the Roadrunner? And the Plymouth 383 cubic inch 4-barrel Super Commando V8 at 330 horsepower, available on all mid-size Plymouths except GTX and Roadrunner. Or that regular fuel 383 cubic inch Plymouth power plant that's rated at 290 horsepower. How does your own regular fuel 390 cubic inch job compare?
265 horsepower. 25 less.
Well, don't take it so hard. You've still got a pretty good little standard 6-cylinder engine in that car. Of course, our standard 6 displaces 225 cubic inches and develops 145 horsepower. And yours is only 200 cubic inches and gives only 115 horsepower, a lot less than Plymouth. Plymouth has more to offer throughout the mid-size series than the comparable Ford Fairlane series. Car for car, feature for feature, model for model, in roominess, in comfort, in convenience, in handling, in general all-round performance that is so vital in today's intermediate market. Look, Plymouth makes a tighter turn than the Ford, 40 6/10 feet compared to 41 5/10, even though Plymouth is longer and wider. Evidence that Plymouth handles better. Plymouth's famous torsion bar suspension system, with torsion bars up front and leaf springs in the rear, is another vital factor in our riding and handling superiority over Ford across the board. Their coil springs just don't do the same kind of a job. Brakes are a vital part of the performance story, and here we see that Plymouth's brakes are more than 50% bigger than Ford's, with over 50% greater effective brake lining area. On the optional V8 and the Wagons, our brakes are 18+% bigger in effective lining area. Plymouth stops quicker. Same way with the optional disc brakes, where an 81% greater swept area helps Plymouth stop quicker. One more point on brakes. we bond our linings to the brake shoes, and they merely rivet theirs, which means ours wear better and last longer.
We've got bonded brake linings, too, with our disc brakes.
Sure, but only with disc brakes. We bond all our brake linings, and by eliminating the rivets, we make the lining last longer. And what about power? With Plymouth, power brakes are available with either drum or disc brakes. With Ford,
Only with discs.
both instrument panels have extra padding for safety, of course. But Satellite gives the driver 3 instruments for fuel, alternator, and water temperature, to only 1 for Fairlane, for fuel. Plymouth pioneered safety inside door handles in 1966, the kind you can't grab open by accident in a panic stop. And now Ford has undertaken to imitate them, but not very well, because unless you're particularly careful to release the Ford door latch, you can't close the door tight. Just try it. Plymouth vent windows pull in easily and conveniently. In Ford, you have to push them out. Ours are easier to open and to close. The Ford hardtop and convertibles don't even have any vent windows. Our glove box door opens up, out of the way, whereas in the Fairlane, the passenger's knee becomes a target. Plymouth has a lot more footroom up front for both driver and passenger, because our tunnel is much narrower and a little lower as well, smaller in back, too. Out in front, the driver can see more, close up, in the Plymouth, because there's no stubby high nose to get in the line of sight as there is in the Ford. It's the same way out the back window. From the driver's seat of the Plymouth, you can see your fender peaks. They're a point of reference when you're backing up and a plus safety factor. In Ford, you can't see them. Now, around in back of the car, you'll notice how that short Fairlane deck lid gets in the way when you open the trunk to load anything inside. Compared with the Satellite, it's downright awkward. The Plymouth trunk itself is wider and longer than Ford's, almost a full 5 inches longer, in fact. This extra space comes in handy, as you know, if you've ever tried to pack a car trunk yourself. And how would you like to toss your outboard motor on top of your fuel tank, as you might in the Ford? The fuel tank is the floor of the trunk. Plymouth provides a separate floor panel over the tank. Plymouth's side marker lights are real lights, both front and rear. Ford gives you only a reflector at the rear. The other fellow's lights must shine on you before the Ford rear marker becomes visible. In the Satellite, your directional signal lights are in the lower bumper, where they are protected. In Fairlane, they are in the fender peaks, where they are highly vulnerable. Not a big major point, perhaps, unless yours should be smashed. Satellite, along with the rest of the Plymouth mid-size cars, offers 3 different vinyl roofs, black, antique green, and antique white. Fairlane offers 2 only, black and parchment. Now, to round out its full line of intermediates, Plymouth includes the Satellite Sport Wagon and the Satellite Wagon in both 2-seat and 3-seat versions. Also, the 2-seat Belvedere station wagon, a real lineup. These Satellite and Belvedere wagons are the biggest cargo carriers in the entire mid-size station wagon class, with a huge 10-foot-long cargo compartment when the dual-action tailgate is down. That's big. And they offer you something new that no other wagon has, the optional tailgate window wiper and washer. These tailgate windows do pick up dirt from road splash, and this button on the instrument panel activates the wiper washer. It's a safety feature as well as a convenience. Ford has nothing to compete with the mid-size Plymouth wagons. They have some little Fairlane wagons, it's true, but they're all on a 113-inch wheelbase, just like the little Falcon. 4 inches shorter wheelbase than ours. 4 inches shorter wagon. Ford has nothing to compare or compete with the Plymouth GTX, the boss, the supercar, the car for performance in '68. Ford has nothing to compare with Plymouth's Roadrunner, with all the high-performance equipment the young enthusiasts want, without the frills that would boost the price.
With this great full series lineup, GTX, Roadrunner, Sport Satellite, Satellite, and Belvedere, it certainly looks as if Plymouth has it all over Ford in '68. With the top performance, top comfort, top handling, top convenience cars in the whole intermediate market. Yes, the beat goes on for Plymouth midsize, as it does throughout the Plymouth line.